We're breaking down walls, tearing apart the lies. Together we'll stand, watch the whole world rise. Fate transcends boundaries, uniting every heart. In this movement of love, we're all taking part.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Vision Podcast. Man, this is exciting. Today is our 21st episode. Like, woo! You know, I want to celebrate. I almost brought some confetti, but I figured Seeger would be pretty mad if I dumped confetti all over the studio. Anyway, yeah, today is awesome. It's amazing. It's a milestone. It's a highlight. It's a marker. It's proof that we have been moving forward in the plans that God has called us to move in. And I'm just so grateful that you all have been here with me in this journey. And I'm super excited for the guest that we have today. His name is Britt. He is the founder and CEO of a ministry called Kintsugi KINETICS. And I'll let him tell you a little bit more about what that is. So thank you so much for being here, Nick.
My pleasure. I'm really excited about this, actually, especially when you told me that the parting gift for even coming on the show is taking one of these fancy cameras home with me.
Yeah, everybody gets a free Sony.
That's
man.
really cool. Seeger did a beautiful job in this room, and I've already been trying to figure out what can fit in my pocket.
Yeah, man.
Is that bad?
No, not
Okay,
at all.
cool.
Not at all.
All right.
So tell us about what Kintsugi KINETICS is real quick. I just want to kind of dive into that.
Kintsugi KINETICS is it's a nonprofit that I have that we bring exercise into the mental health and addiction part of the jail in Davidson County Corrections offices. Basically, I've got personal trainers and myself. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. Just this year, been blessed enough to take other people with me, but we go in there for an hour a day and put people through movement. You know, sometimes it's intense, sometimes less intense, just stretching, but body weight stuff, resistance bands. There's a couple kettlebells and yoga mats, and just trying to get people to get the dopamine hit from exercise. It's probably what led them in there in the first place, was that chase, that search for dopamine, right? And Kintsugi is actually it's the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery or artifacts using molten platinum steel or platinum, gold, or silver. Mm-hmm. So it's the artifact that's been broken is actually worth more once it's been repaired. And that's kind of what we're trying to get in these guys' minds, is that just because they're in there doing this time doesn't mean that that's their story. Yeah. That they can actually come out on the other side more valuable than the way they went in. Once they're released, we offer scholarships for gym memberships. Primarily, we try to get them into our jiu-jitsu community because it's a good community of people that want to stay involved in their future and in their journey, as opposed to just turning them loose at the Planet Fitness. But if they want Planet Fitness, we hook that up too, because it's only $10 a month. You know, makes it easier to afford.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's 501c3, so it's completely operates off of donations, generosity of others. And basically now I just get involved with as many other organizations as I can. Try to work trades, share information, help their people, they help mine.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing.
Why jails? What made you get there?
I don't know. I know nothing about it. I've been a good kid my whole life. No, I spent some time. I went to New Mexico State University for business and English, and my sophomore year, I'd gotten a phone call that my dad had committed suicide, and I didn't do very well with it, so started developing anxiety. So they gave me antidepressants, anti-anxiety medicine, and basically that kind of made me numb. It wasn't something I was ever familiar with, and I wasn't doing anything athletic at the time. So that led to street drugs, which then led to going to school a lot less, to eventually being kicked out of school. And the next thing I knew, I was in California street performing, trying to make money, getting rich off of songs that probably weren't even that good, but became an addict for about 8, almost 9 years, couch crashing, just getting free drugs because I couldn't get free food from anybody. And it was through exercise. A guy saw me street performing, and he was like, "Hey man, you're really good, and I'll help you with music if you'll work out every day. You come stay at my place." And he's a big bodybuilder, famous bodybuilder. One of my friends recognized him when he showed up. He was autographing for everybody. So I woke up the first morning, was just like, all right, got to go do this workout. And I showed up like in Jinko jeans and my Doc Martens. I think maybe like a cut off Abercrombie shirt. And I was still tattooed, as skinny as a rail. And this guy, big Jack dude. So we started the workout, and about 3 girl curls into it, I was like throwing up. Like, this is not good. Yeah. So the next day I was like, maybe I should do fewer drugs and try to work out a little bit harder, see what happens. And it was still miserable. So like at the 7-minute mark or whatever, eventually I started doing fewer and fewer drugs, and I could last longer in the gym. The more I did in the gym, the better I felt for the rest of the day. Appetite went up, anxiety came down, sleep would increase, to a point where I finally was like, you know what? I think I'm going to come off of all the drugs, street, antidepressants, all of it. And I, against my doctor's orders, he's like, you can't do that. That's what people tend to do, is they get into a rhythm where they feel really good, so they start pulling stuff out, and then they feel really bad, and it becomes dangerous. And I was like, I understand that, but I'm going to do this prayerfully, see what happens. And I don't know why I was so convinced that it was going to work for me, but it somehow did. Got off of everything, and exercise just became a staple for me. So I saw Nashville on TV while I was back in New Mexico, and there was at Indiana Colts, and the Titans were playing football, like October 8th or 9th of 2008. And there was this overhead flyover view of Nashville, and it said Music City, and I was like, where's that? Never even knew what that was. My nephew said, that's Nashville. You should go there. I said, all right. So I turned around from the TV, got on a computer, found a cheap apartment, $535 for 1 bedroom. You remember when Nashville was that way? It was so awesome.
A long time ago,
and even then I was like, man, $535, I don't know. But that same apartment now is like $1,300.
Yeah.
So anyway, I booked it, came out here sight unseen, no friends, no family, but just felt called.
Yeah.
Got out here and started some music. Oh, I should probably go back to in that process of the drugs. I had been detained a couple of times, put in mental health institutions and for the drug use, and did some stints, and and it was isolating. And those are really dark, sad places. So that's fast forwarding to where I am now. Why it means so much to me is the things that I didn't learn in my own experience in those places is what I'm trying to bring in there now. But get to Nashville, form a band. We start getting kind of popular, not like, real popular, but popular enough to where you see a couple chicks on the street and they're like, hey, I know your band. I'm like, great. And all the guys that like real music are like, hey, your band sucks. And I'm like, I know, whatever. Gets the chicks. Toured and had a really good run, had a good time. Some things fell apart with the management deal. I didn't want to be in hotel rooms in a little van driving across the country anymore. I wanted the big tour bus and, white Skittles. Do they make white Skittles?
What that is.
I don't know.
No idea.
I think it's Mariah Carey or somebody. Like, when you get to that level, they're like, I only want the red M&Ms.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
So,
okay.
They don't make white Skittles, but I thought if I could get to that level, that was making it. Anyway, it never happened. I could barely get a cup of coffee with cream and sugar. So I finally said, I want to do something else. And my wife at that time, ex-wife now, said, well, if you could do anything you wanted, what would you do? And I'm like, Netflix. Well, she's like, well, if money wasn't a thing and it was good for you, what would you do? I said, I'd probably spend all my time in the gym with my friends, just talking and getting buff. She's like, you should be a personal trainer. I'm like, all right, it's a decent idea. So I called up one of my buddies who owns Hotbox. I don't know if you know Hotbox. Do you know Hotbox?
I don't think so.
It's owned by, at least it was. I don't know. I haven't spoken to ownership in a long time, but Kyle Mims, Jamie Bryant, and Tim Shaw of the Titans.
Okay.
Tim Shaw's got an amazing foundation. Great story.
Yeah.
He's the one who battled with ALS, and he's such a warrior. But I called him up and I said, hey, man, if I was going to become a personal trainer, what do I need to do to apply to work for you? And he said, just get certified. You're hired. So I did. Started training there and got a couple personal training clients. A couple of them had really good results, and pretty quickly it became full-time for me. So that's what I've done for like the last 10 years. I kind of stepped out of music. We would do regional tours. I still record every once in a while, release music, but the exercise is the thing that I always go back to, where it's Henry Rollins is the one that he said that you go back to the iron because 100 pounds is 100 pounds. Like it never changes. And that place that, a gym, a lot of people do it for cosmetic reasons and they want to be more swolt, more buffer. For me, it's the best mental therapy that I've ever found.
Yeah.
Like I can go in one mood and I come out in another. So that's really where I focused all my energy. I was volunteering in the prison as a musician through a group called Church of Another Chance. And it was the prison right there on Harding.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. It was great. But COVID shut it down. When they finally started accepting volunteers again, I said, is there any chance I can do exercise in here? They're like, nobody's ever done that. I said, cool. So how about now? They allowed me into the mental health and addiction wing, which is called the Behavioral Care Center.
Right.
It's downtown. And I just went in there and I asked if he said, if you guys want to work out, feel free. If you don't want to, you don't need to. And basically that's how it got started. One guy was like, I'll lift with you. So it was like me in the corner out on a yard about the size of this room in the middle of the summer, sweltering heat, just with a kettlebell, just trying to get his heart rate up and endorphins. And the next day I showed up and he was like, man, I felt so great. Let's do it again. He'd bring a friend. Yeah. And next time, one more friend, to a point where it became the majority of the guys now. When I show up, they're all willing to, because they call it mandatory. You can't make people work out,
Yeah, I get that.
But I come in now and if they work out with me, I offer them some snacks because I'm a briber like that. Gummy bears. I'm like, hey, I got some loot over here. If you do a couple push-ups, I'll give you some sugar and element. The electrolytes, the potassium, magnesium, sodium.
Yeah.
There's something to it. The magnesium's good for brain function. So I know that when these guys drink it, it works for me. It just chills me out. So I tell these guys, you work out, push real hard. You can have these electrolytes, some snacks, and they're bored anyway. So they'll do it. It just caught on. Kept doing it. And some people found out what I was doing and they said, you need to turn this into a nonprofit because you can do it more frequently, scale it up, do it more places. And then offer some memberships. When people get out, try to keep them connected. So I got a group of people together that are all brainiacs. They're real successful in their businesses, and they said they'd help me. So they became my board. We incorporated about a year and a half ago now, and we offer the memberships. And then Saturdays I give them personal training outside of the gym once they're released. And then Sundays, if they come to church, they meet me there because I told them, I'm like, look, I'm sitting at Cross Point every Sunday. If you show up, you want to sit next to me, I'll take you out to lunch and we'll go someplace good. It won't be a Baconator. I'll get you a good meal for the week. And so then that's where a lot of the expense is now, because these guys will show up and I love it. It's actually my favorite part of the week when there's a good sized crew and we're all talking about, making plans for the upcoming week and debriefing from what happened before and what's heavy in our lives and what we're hopeful for. And that's where we are.
Yeah. And so how did you come up with the name or the inspiration for Kintsugi?
Well, just the whole Japanese art and seeing the story of it being broken pottery repaired and to become worth more. It's how I wasn't the one that was expected to survive. I was the one who, put my mom through hell with the things that I was involved in. And just to see that working through the process, getting clean, getting sober, doing my time, trying to do my best for myself. It led me to a place now where I can't even believe this is my life. I'm pretty blessed. People say that all the time, but it's more than blessed. I'm like, I love my life.
Yeah.
I have a good time. I see a lot of people stressed out and hate their work, and they have, good amounts of money, but the weekend isn't enough time for them to recover from the stress that they have, and they're miserable. And I love my jobs. I love everything that I do. So
yeah,
that's where the name come from. And KINETICS is just movement. So I was just trying to have a little alliteration.
It rolls off the tongue for sure.
I sure tried.
It's nice.
I've got one board member, Rob. If he probably won't watch this, and that's okay because he's like, man, the first thing he said was, "We got to change the name." He's like, "Ain't nobody know what Kintsugi is," and I was like, "Yeah, they don't yet.
Not yet.
Give it
Well,
time.
They will. Yeah,
give it
they
time."
will.
And now there's there's places that pop up in town that are named after Kintsugi, and it's in songs, and one of the guys that inspired me to create the nonprofit. His name, he owns the Well Coffee Houses. His name's Rob Touchstone. He's also a professor at Lipscomb, but every year he does like a long lecture on Kintsugi, and it just happened that I found that out after I'd already named it, but people know what it is, or they're starting to, and anybody who hears it, if they didn't know what it is, they can relate to it. They see the beauty in that kind of form of art. So
yeah, no, I when you first told me about it, I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah,
that's perfect, especially because I mean, that's what God does.
Right.
He takes those pieces that are broken and
it's a story of salvation for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's one time I remember I was sitting in jail and I was watching some movie, and I can't remember the name exactly. I think it was like Joseph or some one name is the name of the movie. But basically it was this drifter who was supposed to be an angel or Jesus or something. And this girl that was in the movie, she broke this beautiful crystal vase.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy that was drifting through the town came and put it back together in the form of an angel instead of this vase. But I remember it sticking with me. Yeah. And that same thought came into my head of like, if that's what God does with broken pieces and forms them into something much more beautiful than it even began. Yeah, and that stuck with me just because it really showed me, even in that moment, that I was repairable. Mm-hmm. You know, sure. I wasn't just completely lost. It wasn't a pile of trash that somebody could sweep up and throw to the side, you know. So
and not even repairable, but you know, your value's augmented. So a lot of people, they do think repairable, I've been fixed, but I've got like this limp now, or I've got this scar. We always think in terms of now there's this residual damage, and we can actually be made better from our experiences. And when we use them, like you just saying now, you know, sitting in jail and you saw a movie. Well, now you're on the outside doing a podcast and trying to increase. Would you have done the podcast and been where you are now? I mean, you got a cool kid. You seem to be happy. You know, you're healthy. Your eyes are white. Would you have been there had you not had that brokenness first, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Beyond repair. Yeah, that's we always, our little slogan for Kintsugi KINETICS is better when broken.
Okay.
So yeah. Some people go through life and they never really get that big, I've been really busted moment, and they just kind of stay baseline.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not to shame anybody for it. Great. If you lived a life that was sheltered, I think they call it snow plowing now, snowplow kids, where the parents go ahead and just kind of make sure there's never anything in their way. You know, my parents have no idea what a snowplow is. They're just like, Nick's going to run into all these problems. Let him figure it out. And I hated it then. I resented them then for not bailing me out like all my rich kid friends, you know, but now I'm grateful for the fact
taught you some resilience, I guess.
Even if it resilience,
wasn't the healthy
made it a lot
way
harder.
To do it,
Right. And that's also why we try to get people into the jujitsu. It's why we get them into the jujitsu. No, it's into jujitsu. Jujitsu means the gentle art.
Okay.
But it's problem solving. You know, there's a lot of martial arts out there that are based on aggression or size, whereas jiu-jitsu is based on problem solving. Like, what's the equation here so if somebody bigger is on top of me, how do I like not let this just overcome me? And with enough practice and understanding, being taught by somebody else, you figure out that size really doesn't matter. And that's the beauty in it. I remember when I even first started, somebody, you know, I was on my back and somebody climbed on top of me just drilling, and I was like just suffocated immediately, claustrophobic. I'm like tapping, wanted to cry, grab my stuff and go home. But now you get to a point where it just doesn't faze you anymore. You're like, oh, I've been here before. There's a way out of this. What was that way? I'd seen somebody else do it. And then you remember it, and then you get out. And that's what we're trying to teach a lot of these guys, which is how I got linked up with Men of Valor. I went to one of their breakfasts down at the convention center.
Okay.
Did you go to that by any chance?
Yeah.
You got. I didn't get the invitation. Somebody else accidentally invited me.
I'll make sure you get one next year.
Thank you. I want to be on that list. Who's in charge of that? Is that Tevin by any chance?
Yeah, maybe. Let's see.
Tevin, if you're listening, I need a +1, 2. There's other people I want to show.
We got you, man. You're in. Yeah.
When they were like, yeah, it's this breakfast for Men of Valor, I was like, I've heard of Men of Valor. I see some things online every once in a while, and like it's at the convention center. I was like, I wonder what small room this is going to be in. I walked into that thing.
Yeah, 1,700 people.
Yeah. And one of the best breakfasts I've ever had. They had those little chosen
the mugs, yeah.
And they were all around the table, and I'm just immediately thinking, yeah, my coach would like one. My other coach, Jeff, would like one. I know that my fiance would love one. And sure enough, these guys sitting at the table in their suits that had to go back to their offices, they just left them sitting there. So I'm like, these are mine.
Yeah.
You know, collected them. And everybody's like, where'd you get this? I'm like, okay, so I went to this thing called Men of Valor, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
You know, hearing the stories, seeing how many people were changed. Yeah, it was awesome. I don't remember how I got in the DMs of Men of Valor, though, like what happened next. But somehow, oh, you know what? It was my pastor.
Mm-hmm.
The associate pastor at my church said, I've got to go to Men of Valor to speak. Do you want to join me and tell your story? And I was like, I mean, hands down, anytime somebody says, Nick, do you want to talk? I'm like, I love my own voice. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's actually, not,
No.
I'm not that way.
No,
Yeah.
same here.
But
yeah, I hate it.
in fact, I used to shoot it down all the time because I don't want to do it. I don't want to be the face. I don't want to be the voice. But they're like, you know, this is the only way that you're going to get funding for your program, meaning that's how these guys are going to get their memberships and their the food that you bring in. I was like, okay, I guess I'll do this. So anyway, went to another, what do they call it? A graduation, I think, at Men of Valor for some of the guys that had done 3 months, 6 months, and then a year. And in the process of telling my story about, you know, everything that I'd been through, I told everybody there, like, you want to do jujitsu? I'll get a scholarship for you. So we kind of hooked up then.
That's cool.
And now once a month I go to Men of Valor and teach the new people coming in.
Yeah.
Give them a little 1 hour class and remind them that things are going to get hard. There's going to be a lot of pressure on you.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to quit. You want to tap out. Keep going. There's an equation. Ask some people. Somebody's been through it before, you know?
Yeah. I love the parallel of that, of just that, like you were talking about, something's on top of you, you're suffocating, you want to give up, you want to quit, you want to go home. I mean, all of it. I mean, think about the spiritual oppression that we go through, the spiritual warfare, whatever you want to call it, you know? I mean, even just the stress of life, man, that, you know, a lot of these guys, especially coming out of jail, at least for me too, there's a time where I didn't recognize like all of the pressure that was going on in my life because I had been so numb from all the drugs and alcohol that I had done. And when it finally did come in, I felt that same way. I was like, I'm out.
Can't do this.
I can't do this.
Yep.
No, it's so rough. So I love that parallel. And I'm curious, and I know that you're bringing God in this with you, but where was he through this whole story? You know, because you told us about your
whole story. You know, I was baptized when I was really young, probably 6 or something. And I think it was almost not performative because I don't think I had the knowledge to know what performative was, but it was just kind of the thing you do. You get baptized when you're young, Baptist church, whatever.
Cultural, right? You were there.
But I was always in church. I've got great believing parents, grandparents, most of my family, aunts and uncles. While I was in college and I started slipping really badly and I got booted from college and I was doing all the drugs, I still had this one uncle who, my Uncle Mike, he would say, hey, if you come to church, I'll get you lunch. And it was he never was like, Nick, let's go someplace and let me pray for you. Because that would have turned me off. Like, I don't need that, uncle. But when he's like, I got some free food and it's nice, I'm about it. Because most of the time, the rest of the week, it was have some mac and cheese on every other day or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. You've been there. Food doesn't really matter. It's like you just eat enough food to get to the next drug or whatever.
Yeah.
He didn't care. If I showed up in church high, smelling like smoke, smelling like cigarettes, he didn't care. He just wanted me there, have eyes on me. In fact, he's one of the people that put me in the hospital one of the times, and I had no resentment for him. I know he was looking out for me. Him and my pastor at that time, who's now a pastor down in Colombia, and he'll be at my upcoming wedding reception that I just think is the coolest to see, to watch, have these guys that had to put me in a hospital to now be coming to see me like marry this perfect girl.
That's amazing.
But, it is cool. But my Uncle Mike taking me to lunch all the time, and even sitting at lunch, he knew that I was just, you know, I was probably going to leave there and go do whatever I was going to do. But he showed me unconditional love by just being consistent. Just every single Sunday, it was there. And if, you know, I'd get a phone call and he'd just remind me, that's all it was. No strings attached.
Yeah.
I found out later the string was always attached. And that was, you know, he was keeping me attached to my faith, keeping me close enough to where I was making the attendance to where that was habitual. And then even in California, when I had nothing to do on a Sunday, no job, no money.
Yeah.
Wander into church, sit there, spend an hour, leave. And that's why I like doing it for these guys now. Like, you don't have to come throw your hands up in the air and know all the songs or anything. And you definitely don't have to tithe. I don't need you to do anything. Just show up. We'll go grab lunch afterwards. And that's the only way I can really, keep a good community with them without trying to push God on them.
Yeah.
St. Francis of Assisi, right?
Mm-hmm.
And always preach the gospel, and if necessary, use words.
Yeah, that's one of my
Right.
favorite
So
favorite sayings.
And anybody who knows me or is watching this, I highly doubt anybody's gonna be like, "That's the most pious guy I know." Oh, he's such a holy person. But I do think that hopefully I'm doing my best to where people know that that's where my heart is. That I'd be nothing without him, and I'm not perfect. Close.
Oh yeah.
Don't ask anybody. But that's still the thing that keeps me grounded.
That's cool. Isn't it amazing what happens when you just show up?
Sure.
And I mean, your uncle just showing up for you, even in, hey, yeah, come sit in the church, whatever it may be. Yeah.
As you are.
Don't worry about it. I'm not going to try to get you into rehab right
Right.
now. I'm not going to try to push God on you. Just come sit with me.
Right. And
Just
as soon as
be
I sit down next to him, he's like, "Abracadabra, B," and then they handcuff me. And I'm like, "Uncle, what are you doing this for, Uncle?
Uncle!
Why it got to be like this?" No, it's good stuff.
That's cool. So you're getting married. Is that what you said? So that's cool. When?
It's so cool.
Coming up soon? Or?
Yeah, August 13th.
Okay.
We only met in February. She was a worship leader at my church.
Nice.
But it was one of those things where I had seen her before, like on Facebook and some of the dating apps that are toxic enough to where I've been divorced almost 8 years, and dated a couple people where I thought, well, one person I was like, oh, this could go somewhere, and then it just did. Like, God has this really, really drastic way of shutting things off in my life. Like, nothing ever really slowly fades.
Okay.
It's on and then it's off, and things are revealed to me where I'm like, I know this isn't where it's supposed to go. And sometimes I stay in those situations too long, even when I'm like, oh, this probably isn't what's on, like, this isn't anybody's will for me.
Yeah.
I can't see how, not only is it not God's will, but my parents, they don't want this for me. My sisters don't want this for me. My friends don't want this for me, but I'm going to hang on anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to fix this. I'm a fixer.
Because we know it all, right?
When I was the problem too, it was still, that's part of the problem is that I was unwilling to recognize, let go, So I kind of struggled with the dating scene for a while. And all of a sudden I see this girl at this worship leader. I was like, I've seen her before. And then she was like recommended to me on Facebook as a suggestion, and I add her, and she says, "Oh, hi, Nick." And I'm like, I've seen you before. She's like, "I've seen you before too."
You have.
Tell me more. I said, well, I'm with some of my friends from the nonprofit right now, but I'd like to grab dinner with you this week if you're interested. And we went out on a Wednesday. 15 minutes later, after sitting down, I was like, this is long term.
Yeah.
And I texted my pastor who knew us both. My pastor had been connected with me for a long time. He'd seen some of the, the growth that I had to go through from my divorce, because most of that was my doing, the way that ended. So I texted him and I just said, look, I just went on a date with Kristen and I really like her. And I think and he's like, I support this 100%. He's like, take it real slow. Go 3 miles per hour. That's the speed of God. And I'm like, you got it, sir. Slow it shall be.
Yeah. Where you got
2 months
that from?
later, I'm like texting him a picture of the ring that I bought her.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm like, bro, listen, I know you said 3 miles an hour. And I said, but I just know about this. And he goes, Nick, I just threw out a number. I knew you were going to add a 0 to whatever it was. Met her family, and they're amazing. And it's just one of those things where it's like, how can it be so different? I'm 44 years old. I've never experienced anything like this where both the relationship with her is healthy and my relationship with her parents. And this guy's like one of the highest ranked military individuals that there are. And he sees me, he's literally a 2-star general. So to see this former addict sitting at a table with a general,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Even in the first conversations with him, that's again where I just saw God. I'm like, anybody who can't see how God's hand is working in their lives, like, step back for a second. For me, it's just blatant. It's everywhere I go.
Yeah.
But I love this guy. He's so smart. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's a doctor. He's been all over the world. And he talks to me like I'm his son. He doesn't talk to me like this guy that he's skeptical about.
Yeah.
And I just was amazed. I was like, I love this woman and her dad doesn't feel like a threat. And he can see that I'm not a threat. So anyway, fast forward, we decided let's get married and let's keep it chill. Let's do something without all the chaos of a bunch of other people. We love people, but instead of me trying to put people on a stage with me and say, these are my best men, I don't rely on a whole lot of other people. I've got good friends, but as far as expecting them to show up, on a regular basis, I didn't want to assemble that lineup. I wanted it to be about me and her and, a pastor, somebody to officiate, and God, where it came from.
Yeah.
Cross Point Church. It was a deal breaker for me. Anyway, so August 13th, we're going out to St. Lucia, to the island of St. Lucia. We're just going to get married on the beach. Yeah. I was like, let's find someplace cheap. But her parents were like, you're not going someplace cheap for our daughter. We've waited our whole lives for this. So I'm just along for the ride.
PCB, baby.
That's it, exactly.
Let's go get married in the club.
Let's do it.
Beach. Yeah.
And then we're going to come back here and have our reception at the Franklin campus of Cross Point. And
that's cool.
But again, it just goes to show she dumped me the day after I asked her to be my girlfriend because she'd seen something out there about me on Facebook. Like there's these groups of resentful women, which is fine. These groups need to exist for people that are terrible. But sometimes you wind up in these groups by women who have nefarious intentions, and that's the way it is. There's people, when people don't get what they want, you tend to bash it, right? You never want to figure out, what did I do wrong in that?
Oh, it's always that something else. Yeah.
I was guilty of that, like a lot, but I've started to get better at it, and I can understand when to own it and when not to. Anyway, she had seen something written about me and was like, she dumped me the very next day. And I was like, really? I really liked you. I saw this going somewhere. And about a week later, she started to see, these people in this group there's a little bit of defamation, some fallacies there because that's not who this guy is. And I just said, sit back all you want and just watch. I'm not going to sell anything to you because I'm above that now. I'm not going to beg. I'm not going to do that. But you can see, I'll show you my character. Yeah. And by her asking enough people, like we stayed together. And it's part of our story now where to see that, it started off like we were so sure about each other from day one. And then the very next day for it to just end. And then after that, there was no toxic chasing. It was literally like, I just trusted. I called my pastor and he's like, just, hey, trust God.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, okay.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, go for it.
There's a Nick Britt hate group out there?
Bro,
on Facebook?
I just left a lunch with another guy who we were talking about what to do in this because, he's legally affiliated. Like he's got legal affiliations to shut things like this down because it becomes criminal harassment. What they do is it's a group of, I think there might be one for men that do it about women, but I don't think most men care. Yeah. They're like, oh, that just didn't work out, so we move on. But these groups exist all over the country, and they post your photo, and then they post whatever they want about you. You can't, and as a man, you can't go in there and defend yourself and be like, here's the truth.
Yeah.
So they'll crop conversations, say anything that they want, and it's defamation. It's not just like, oh, they're sharing things that happened. They're lying.
Yeah.
And blasted out there, 33,000 members in a group or whatever. They're not supposed to share any of that information outside of there. But I have enough female friends in town that are screenshotting it and sending it to me. They're like, hey, your ex is at it again. Or, hey, remember that person you went on a date with once and you said was crazy? Well, they're at it again. And it's truly what it is. I lose no sleep.
Yeah.
It's not one of those situations where I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose everything and my reputation's on the line. It hurts me because I would never do something like that to them. But aside from that, like I said, I got what I wanted. This girl is incredible, and she sees through it. She's really smart, doesn't drink, has kept herself pure this whole time. 28 years old, like has never been with another man. Just solid, and for that to be who I'm going to marry. I just look again, God's hand, right? The miracles are too great for me. Where I'm like, you can't write that story. I'm a former addict who botched everything, ruined my previous marriage. At that time was a self-proclaimed atheist. And now, I get to marry the girl that goes to my church, is employed by my church, she's just perfect for me.
Yeah.
People tell me all the time, she's not perfect. I'm like, no, I'm not saying she's perfect. She's perfect for me.
Yeah, no, I get that.
We just can't wait.
She fits. That's
she fits.
It. You guys, it's like, that's the same way with me and my wife. Yeah,
right, exactly. And I would have had no idea that I could even capture the attention of somebody like that they would ever be willing to hear my side of the story when I come into a restaurant and I got tattoos all over my neck. You know what I mean? I'm kind of ugly. So she doesn't see it. She doesn't see it. So
That's definitely a God thing,
it
man.
is.
Huh?
It
Yeah,
totally
that's
is.
it.
She's got terrible vision, and I love it. Yeah.
Blind her, Lord.
Right. Yeah.
So
Please,
I
Lord,
can
all
get
I'm
with
looking
it.
for is a perfect blind girl.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's all. Isn't it wild how when you fall into the where God wants you to be, the kind of stuff that starts coming up.
Right.
I mean, who knows?
Oh,
If
you mean the
like,
flack? The
the timing,
100%.
or
yeah, sure.
the stuff that
Sure.
the negative stuff, right?
Man, it happens all the time. And probably being that I don't drink anymore, I'm not a guy that like counts my days in recovery. I know some people do, and they should, but I'm more of I don't drink alcohol because I know what it does to the body on a cellular level. I understand the poison that it is. I used to love smoking weed, but now I've seen what it did to myself socially, how I would withdraw from other people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to look people in the eye and have conversations. I was constantly like, or if somebody called me, I was stoned, I didn't want to answer right then. Like, I'm in my zone, man.
Yeah.
But it could be somebody needing me, and I would just ignore it. Now I know where I stand on all these things, and I tend to be around people that will try to justify it for themselves. They're like, not everybody's in recovery. Not everybody was an addict, so it's okay. And I'm like, no. That's false. That's really false. And then it's almost like the people that I liked so much, they start to resent me for what I stand for now.
Yeah.
You know?
But is it, well, I mean, my first thought is, do they feel judged by you?
Probably. And I'm not going to lie. I can be kind of aggressive with but that's the thing is I'm not trying to tell anybody they're going to hell. I'm just saying, do me a favor. And if I'm standing next to you working with my clients, or if I'm out, playing a show and I'm not drinking and I'm telling people why, don't cut me off. Don't say that my information's false just because.
I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fine if it's just every once in a while. Look, do what you want to do, but don't tell these people that it's fine, because it's poison. Poison's poison. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's okay for you may not be okay
correct.
for everyone
and
else.
That's the thing. Take ownership of it. If you acknowledge you do it when you're celebrating something, I get that. 100% I get that. Just don't tell people that it's okay, like that it's good for you, or that a moderate amount is fine and I've got control of it. If you got control of it, why can't you stop? You know what I mean? And some of my Christian friends, my good friends that are still smoke, or it's just a beer. That's your testimony though. That's your witness ability. You know, you want to evangelize to people that are having struggles with these things, and you're trying to tell them moderation is key. No, abstinence is key. You know what I mean? Actually being able to turn from it. And I don't mind. It's like, I don't mind losing an inner circle of people because I'm standing on something where I can see it affecting them too. And it's especially when people come to you and they're in financial straits, their money they're not doing well with money. And it's like, you're drinking. Yeah. Or their kids are alcoholics or locked up, or they're wrecking cars all the time. And I'm like, you're drinking. What are they looking for? What are your kids looking up to? Gotcha. And I don't want to be that, and so that's where I stand. Maybe I should be quiet more often, just be in my little corner, but I mean, if you're passionate about it, I get it. I get it. And every once in a while, you get that message on Instagram or Facebook where they're like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that I hated you because I got really tired of you talking about this stuff, and now I've given it up, and it's changed my life. And thank you." Like, okay, and that's the ones store that one. Yeah. Yep, flag that, pin it to the top, and remember all these other people that are cutting you off because you have a stance where you're trying to actually help them because you've been there. That's the other thing. A lot of these people are like, "Oh, it's okay that I drink this much, or I do this, I do that." Cool, to you. Yeah, it's okay for you, but it's fine. But the other people that are watching you, they're struggling, or maybe they don't. A lot of those people don't even understand the way they act. They don't know that when they come in on a Monday, after they've spent the entire weekend drinking or consuming, smoking, doing whatever they do, how much differently they act, right? So then those of us who are like, I'm not saying I'm steadfast and on it all the time, but I'm sensitive to the way people operate, because I've been there and I've had to give it up, and I remember how it affected me. Yeah. So when these people are doing it right next to me, and I'm like, man, you're fine. But I see your attitude, I see your posture, I see everything, the way you're treating others. It's not fine, it's not okay, it's not good. And people are, we're supposed to be leading each other and trying to carry each other further. I do think though that this generation is more aware of the toxic effects of ethanol drinking
Yeah.
than any generation before.
Yeah.
It's starting to come out.
I think so too.
And I
yeah.
love it because even so yesterday, Kristen and I were at home right before I was going to teach jiu-jitsu, and it was on the news. And, the local news was talking about how they're finding out that the science behind people that don't drink tend to be healthier. Well, they're finding out, it's not that not only are they healthier because they don't drink as much, but because they were already healthier. Like healthier individuals don't drink a lot. People that drink a lot usually don't go work out. So that baseline of fitness and health is already lower.
Okay.
So they really are starting to see that there is no safe amount,
Yeah.
It's not on a cellular level, it's killing you. And half the people that I meet at Men of Valor, where does it start? Nobody goes straight to heroin, not that I know of.
Yeah. Unless you just got pretty bad luck.
Or you had a root canal and you still needed, they take oxys and stuff after that. And it's like, that's too expensive. They can't get a prescription. That's
what happened to me. Yeah.
It really, So it happens that way. But otherwise, from there, they always call weed the gateway drug. And I'm like, no, I think drinking it's up there.
Listen, there's an AA saying that said, I don't get in trouble every time I drink, but every time I've been in trouble, I've been drinking.
Yeah, imagine that, right? What's the common denominator here, right? When people with their relationships are jacked, it's like, I know working with clients that are in the fitness world, I'm basically a barber. I just hear them. I'm like, hey, do 15 reps of this, but basically in those 15 reps, they're like, okay, so, this is how it went last night, and this is what we did. I listen to gossip all day long. It's cool. I love it. I'm all about it, but a common denominator and all the bickering that I hear is, we were having drinks last night. We were out at dinner. We did these drinks.
Yeah.
And then you guys blew up at each other. Couples that could have been perfect for years, but alcohol gets in the way, makes people act differently. It's hard to fix it after that.
Yeah. No, I get that. And I mean, I've got a bad taste in my mouth from alcohol. I was alcoholic for, 15 years or something like that. And it ruined a lot of things in my life, but so I get it. Yeah. I get it, man.
It does it quickly.
Yeah. And so you said something about a baseline health thing. And I'm just curious about that of like, what's that look like for people and how they're developing that? And what kind of, process do you take people through to start developing that?
Yeah. Well, so I do performance enhancement, which means I take a lot of people who are already athletic and just try to make them better at what they do. But I have taken people from nowhere where they come in 5 minutes after doing any kind of workout at all. They're just as sick as I was when I started to try. But basically being able to complete 45 minutes of moderate to intense workout, whether it's aerobic where you're just high intensity, cardio stuff,
right? Or
lifting heavy things and being able to get your heart rate up and within a minute for it to come back down into a good spot. That's health.
Okay.
Getting it up there and it staying up there all day or, having a stroke, it's not healthy.
No.
Not being able to get it up, get your heart rate up, it's also not healthy. If you've just got no muscle mass to even be able to do a workload, that's all it is. So it used to be believed that as we age, osteoporosis and osteoarthritis was unavoidable. So joint depletion, bone depletion, right? It just happens with age. Well, they found out scientifically that's incorrect. If you do resistance training, you put a load bearing resistance on your body, you can continue to strengthen your bones till the day you die.
Really?
And it's that. And so then everybody was like, well, I want to be as skinny as I can. I want to, have as little weight as I possibly can. But they're finding out muscle is the currency of health. So if you have muscle on your body, it's constantly putting tension on your bones. That tension on your bones causes more bone growth because it's basically breaking. You just think, micro fractures on the bone. It has to repair itself. So you're creating density. So by picking up heavy stuff and setting it back down, your motor unit recruitment, you're getting more fibers of your muscle involved. The more muscles you have, fibers you have, the more tension is put on the bone. The more tension you put on a bone, the more it grows. So range of motion on the joints. If you sit in a chair all day and you're locked up, things start to hurt. Lower back pain. Why? We move less.
Slumped over all day.
We don't have the energy like D over here. You know what I mean? That kid, I guarantee if we put him outside right now, he'll run for 6 hours, tumble, toss, fall, jump back up. We get older, we have a hard time getting up off the chair, so we stop getting off the chair as much. But So that's all I try to do is, I'm no bodybuilder. I know you could tell, but when I walked in here, you're like, this guy's a personal trainer. I get it. But for me, it's all about being able to, especially with jujitsu, I mean, to get folded up by somebody else while you're still in your clothes and stand up from it. That's what I need. And having the cardio capacity to handle. Have you ever been in a school fight?
Yes.
How long did it last? Do you remember? I'm sure it felt like an hour.
Yeah, not long.
Couple minutes.
Yeah, not long.
Right.
Yeah.
And how old were you? Elementary, high school?
Yeah, a couple times.
And
I mean, it's
right. And how stressful it was that.
Oh yeah, it's
incredibly
insane,
stressful.
insane.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
the
I'm gonna
commotion around you, and
I'm gonna
the
crap my pants. I'm so scared. Yeah. And then you're fighting this person. You have no idea what's going on. Well, jiu-jitsu is the same way, unfortunately, which is why people don't sign up for it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go do that scary thing. But forcing yourself to do it all day long, and these are monsters, grown, fight-capable men. Where you're in that schoolyard fight and trying to survive and not get your arm broken, not get slept. There's that the cardiovascular health that you have to have in order to get through that.
yeah,
Like,
of course.
not only does it maintain it, but it can help build it. So when people are like, let me get in shape first and then I'll come. No, come.
Yeah.
Start now.
That's
It'll build
awesome.
it.
Yeah, and so these are the things you're teaching to the guys in
Right.
jail, and
Well, not into jail. Yeah, they frown
Okay.
upon that if you go in there and you're like, all right, so if the guard comes by you, no, they don't want that. In there, we do a lot of, body weight exercises, squats, lunges,
but the same
jumping jacks.
concepts of
Right. Yeah, you got to have the health and you got to have the muscle.
Yeah.
Got to build some muscle, and not muscle so you can go flash it for everybody, which that would be nice. I'm not sure how everybody gets that jacked, but just, having a trading. I tell them it's not fun to be an addict. You should explore being an athlete.
yeah.
Chicks dig athletes, at least the kind of chicks that that you hope that if you want a healthy relationship, find one that likes the athletes as opposed to the addicts. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So baseline health was your question.
Yeah.
For your body to be able to do the most it's possible, it's capable of.
It's just to get that and
Yeah.
find that. Do you think there's a spiritual
100%.
parallel to
If you
that?
look in the Bible, how many times it's referred to about our temple and how some of the greatest men in the Bible, they were warriors. They had to have health, but
Yeah.
you're also, when you have the discipline, your body is a billboard of the rest of the discipline in your life, right? So if you have the discipline to take care of that so that everything else functions better, it shows. Also, the science is out there for, the physiological benefits of exercise on the body, and not just exclusively with the body, but let's say you are on medication because you have to, let's say you've experienced something, you do need antidepressants. The science is even out there right now. People have always been talking about it's a chemical imbalance. It's a chemical
Right.
imbalance in the brain. Now they're finding out it's more about inflammation of the brain from the foods that we consume
Really?
to other environmental factors. Some of these people that are talking about it's a chemical imbalance, well, they've gone through the process of removing everything from their diet, and then they see, oh, that chemical imbalance was some of these preservatives from. Now they're taking out red 40. Good, we're starting with red 40. Let's get rid of caramel color, sodium potassium sorbate, sodium benzoate, the yellow, the blue food dyes. There's all kinds of things. Remove those, and that's part of what the chemical imbalance is, right? Inflammatory diets, even gluten and wheat, whether you have celiac disease or not, it affects everything.
It affects something in you. Yeah.
So learning how to start to pull some of that back is enough to where you can get a lot, if not, you can heal yourself from needing those pills that you think you need. You can just be triggering the roller coaster ride simply from what you're consuming. You don't necessarily even need the pill.
Yeah, no, I like that because what I'm hearing is just healthy stewardship of what God has given you.
He designed us, and it sucks that now. I mean, that prior to now, they were kind of trying to figure it out on their own. We have the blueprints now. We know what works and what doesn't work, and He
Right.
designed us that way to be able to say, "I know what I need to do." I know even fasting, the ketogenic diet, how it can shrink up cancer cells and can completely consume them, and other digestive issues just from diet. Instead of take this other pill, take this for blood sugar, take this for high blood pressure, take this, or just stop eating this, stop doing that, move this more, and it does. Our bodies, we light up to that same thing. the dancing in the Bible. I don't think it was so much the dance that was that meant it. It's not like it was the rain dance. It was the movement, the beneficial feeling that you get from just flailing and wailing,
Yeah.
I think we've always been instructed to exercise and move. We just ignore it.
Yeah.
It gets harder and harder to do. We get tired after work.
Yeah.
Gotta get up earlier, get it done before work.
I mean, that's why, God's always saying, go.
Right.
Do this, move here,
right.
do that. Yeah.
And even music. Music used to be my outlet. When I started to dissect why was that so therapeutic for me? Well, my fingers are moving up and down a fretboard, which, Chinese ancient acupuncture knows that there's these sensory points in the fingers. So these are getting massaged. I'm singing these songs and I'm breathing in and out and that's just breathing patterns. Now we know how important breath is. So we've been instructed for a long time to know what to do. We just ignore it.
Yeah. And you're trying to open people's eyes to that.
And remind myself.
And
I'm far from perfect, but remembering that's where it came from. Even these podcasts reminds me, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get here because I'm cool. I got here because I was fortunate to have his hand on me, and I kind of remember the things that he made me do.
Mm-hmm. That you got to go through the struggle and be restored to a new glory, right? With this Kintsugi.
That's right.
It is kind of a hard name to remember for me,
bro.
But
I love it. Saying it. I love
Kintsugi.
Tattoo it on your forearm.
Say it with me.
You'll remember it. Yeah. See, everybody together now. Kintsugi.
Yeah. So I know we're almost out of time. I've got just one more big question for you, and that is, in the concept of Kintsugi, why do they use those 3 precious metals? Like, why not just glue or cement or something like that?
You just said it. It's precious metal.
Okay.
Right? So makes it more valuable because it is precious. If you use chalk, it falls apart, and glue if it is exposed to heat, will melt. These precious metals, you can get them hot enough to where they do become molten, and then when they really solidify, they're hard as stone. And they're precious. They're sought after in the first place.
Yeah.
He doesn't repair us cheaply,
Yeah, no, that's the way that God repairs us, and He puts in us this new spirit,
right?
That is precious and priceless,
right?
And that's amazing. I love that concept, man. I
wish I'd come up with it.
Yeah,
I wish. Yeah, it's not my art form.
Well, but you're using it well and you're honoring it, and that's a beautiful thing, And so, speaking just on Kintsugi, since we are out of time, I'd like it if you could tell the people listening how they can find out more about you, find out more about what you do, and then also if you need anything. I mean, you're a nonprofit and you work with the prisoners and things like that. I'm sure you need donations.
Always. Can we throw a QR code up there?
Yeah, we can throw a QR code. I'll throw links up and everything. Great. And if this is your camera here, if you want to look directly at the people.
That and plus KintsugiKinetics.org, which it's KINTSUGI. KINETICS is KINETICS.org. Did I spell it right?
I don't, maybe.
First try. I think I nailed it. Go on there. You can see what the needs are. We have plenty of volunteers right now, which is the coolest thing because as soon as when this got some exposure through the Nashville Fit Mag and some of the news channels in my church, we were just flooded with people that were like, I want to go into the jail and help. We love that. We filled all those using those people reaching out. We filled all those spots.
Okay.
So we're set on personnel, but we need funding, whether it's sponsorships as far as we've got a couple people that their families will take the group out on Sunday. So they'll say, hey, can we take your entire group out? And they sit with it. Not only do they take us out, I think this is the coolest thing, that they don't want to just give us their money and be like, hey, go have dinner on our family today. But they want to be part.
Yeah.
So this husband and his wife will sit there and feed my friends from the jail, but also sit there eye to eye and have contact and ask, what do you need? What's your story? What's your favorite part of life? What's the hardest part of life? That's the coolest part. That's how you want to be engaged instead of just I'm not saying just showing up, but showing up and offering something to these guys without asking anything in return. It's huge.
Yeah.
We need corporate sponsors. It's expensive to pay for memberships. Plus, we also help with things like bus passes, and we've repaired a couple cars so that people can get to the appointments and different gym classes. But then the meals on Sunday, we rent space, so it's there's financial burdens, and when we run out, it becomes I can't stop. So it's out of pocket. And when it's if I run out, then I have to hit my board members up and be like, hey guys, you guys signed on for this. I need help, So it just, it's 501c3, so it's tax deductible. You're going to give it to somebody else, or, you don't want to pay taxes on it
Give
to the man.
Starbucks right now.
Yeah. Send it to us and write it off. But that's what we need the most of right now. Helps us purchase more equipment. And right now we're with the guys 2 days a week plus 1 day a week outside the jail, and we've got female trainers on the female wing of the jail 3 days a week. We'd love for it to be 5 and 5.
Yeah,
see the guys 5 days a week, see the women 5 days a week. That's the goal.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, and I hope that if you're listening to this, you will consider helping out with Kintsugi. It's an amazing organization, and Nick, you're an amazing guy.
Appreciate that.
I'm really grateful for you to being here, man.
It means the world that you found me and offered this.
It's a God thing, man. I don't even remember how we met, but
not me. I remember all the specific details. Ain't that right, Seeger? No. As soon as we came in, I was like, I'm not really sure how this came about. I just said yes.
Yeah, that's one of the most beautiful things about God is you just say yes and He does His thing, man. Yep, that's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being here.
Pleasure.
And man, I'll make sure that all this stuff is in the comment section below or the information section, so people won't misspell it.
I appreciate that. And then do I just grab this microphone and whichever camera I want?
Yeah, whichever one you want.
Perfect, man. That's so generous of you. Thank you.
You're welcome, man.
Cool.
Yeah, this has been the 21st episode of the Vision Podcast. Thank you so much for embarking on this journey with me. I've even got my son here, Declan, to celebrate and just to commemorate this moment, I'm really thankful again to Nick, Britt from Kintsugi KINETICS for showing up. You can check him out at kintsugikinetics.org. You'll have the link below. Make sure you check them out on their website and on social media, things like that. I'll put all the links in the comment section below. Make sure you check out thevisionpodcast.com to stay tuned to what we are doing. Make sure you also the shop.thevisionpodcast.com if you want to support the vision financially, maybe get you some merch, check out, show the people around that you're supporting something cool and that what God is doing. And one more thing, if you're still here, is that this being the 21st episode, this is the episode that I had set out to accomplish. And so what I'm going to do, because it's summer, is take a little short break to spend some time with family, focus on myself, focus on my family, focus on God, and just kind of rejuvenate for the next season coming up. So I will be back in a few weeks. Not sure. Make sure you check out our social media just to keep up with what's going on and when we'll be back. And also, I'll still be posting some things on Patreon. So make sure you check out patreon.com/thevisionpodcast. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Let's celebrate 21 episodes, and we'll see you next time.
We're breaking down walls, tearing apart the lies. Together we'll stand, watch the